It is day 4 of our ADHD-friendly Advent study. If you are new here, hi, my name is Rachel. I'm an ADHDer and a Jesus lover, and I help fellow women with chaotic brains seek, find, and live the abundant life that Jesus offers us. If you are just finding it today, you are not behind. This study is specifically designed to be low effort while being high impact. It is created for ADHD brains. So even if this is your first day seeing this study, you are in the right place. Let's get into it. But real quick, there is a free workbook that goes along with this. You can download that at the link in my bio. Okay, let's dive in for today. If you have not listened to this week's song, which is O Come, Emmanuel, I would highly recommend taking a second, going and listening to that. The Skillet version that just came out is fantastic. So if you have not done that, go ahead and listen. Otherwise, we can just get going today. We've got a short passage of scripture and only one journaling prompt today. And just for those who are new, there is a suggested schedule in the study. In the workbook, it's listed out there. If you are the type of person who thrives on a little bit more structure, awesome, it's there for you. Otherwise, you are free to consume whatever parts of the study that week that you want in whatever order you want. It is designed to be accessible and flexible for you and how your brain works, because God designed your brain that way. He meant it to be like that, so we're working with it. Okay, so today's scripture passage, we are still in Luke 1. I am in the ESV. We are reading verses 21 through 25 today. Let me find 21. Where is it? And the people were waiting for Zechariah, and they were wondering at his delay in the temple. And when he came out, he was unable to speak to them. And they realized that he had seen a vision in the temple, and he kept making signs to them and remained mute. And when the time of his service was ended, he went to his home. After these days, his wife Elizabeth conceived, and for 5 months she kept herself hidden, saying, "Thus the Lord has done for me in the days when he looked on me to take away my reproach among the people." Which, as we talked about previously, the reproach she's talking about, she and her husband had been barren for all of their adult lives, which had multiple implications, especially in that culture. Number one, your kids were your retirement plan. If you didn't have children to care for you, you basically had no one to care for you when you aged out of being able to care for yourself. So on a very practical level, it was a very uncertain thing. It was introduced a lot of uncertainty when a couple did not have children. Number two, it also called into question your morality very, very, very heavily in that culture. If you were not able to have children, it was seen as God punishing you for something. And typically the woman, you would essentially have your morality questioned, your character questioned, because just like we see in the story of the man who had been blind at birth that Jesus healed, people tend to question, okay, well, what did you do? What did your parents do that led to this, disability that you have? Very much the same in the case of infertility. Essentially, the thought would be, okay, well, what did you do to deserve this? Which, as we know, fortunately is not how God operates. And this is such a beautiful picture of how he had a plan for their pain. There was purpose in their pain. So they had been facing this reality of infertility, which is such an incredibly heavy thing to experience. And he ultimately had a plan for it that they had to question. They had to still have their faith in God their entire adult lives to get to this point. So this was not a quick resolution for them, which is something at least I, very much struggle with. Not knowing how long this season is going to last, not knowing how long this difficult thing is going to go on for can be an incredibly, incredibly difficult thing. Let me know if you can relate. And finally, the third point is infertility is incredibly difficult. So Zechariah and Elizabeth, even purely from the perspective of just wanting and longing to be parents, they did not have that. And so we see this angel come to Zechariah and go, "Hey man, you're gonna have a baby." And they get that yes from God. They've been just crying out to God for so long. They've been just desiring in the deepest heart of hearts to have a child. And they get that yes. And Zechariah's immediate response is to go, "But how's that gonna happen?" He goes, "How shall I know this? For I am an old man and my wife is advanced in years." He's like, "You're gonna have to prove it to me, my guy," which is the wrong answer. Now, before I dig too deeply in here, let's go ahead and read the third scripture journaling prompt, which is the only journaling prompt that is on the docket for today. When you receive a yes from God, what is your typical response? Do you automatically accept it and rejoice, or do you, like Zechariah, have a moment or many of doubt or even questioning God's motives? And again, all of these journaling prompts, along with everything you need to complete the study, is in the workbook that you can download for free at the link in my bio. So definitely go do that. I am doing this study for free. So if you would like to support me and buy me a coffee, you can also do that at the link in my bio. That would be very much appreciated. But the workbook is free. The study is free. All of it's free. It's at the link in my bio. Go download it. Now, I don't know about you. First, pause, take a minute, go answer the journaling prompt for yourself. So pause this video, go do that, and then come back. But for me, I want to be vulnerable here and share that I am very much like Zechariah. I tend to, when God gives me a yes, or a prayer is answered, or a blessing comes my way, I'm waiting for the yes and. I'm waiting for kind of the flip side of that. I'm waiting for the lesson. It's very difficult for me to just accept something as a gift from God. I have a very anxious brain, and so my brain immediately is spinning, going, okay, what's the next part of the story? This is a wonderful thing, yeah, but nothing is ever truly perfect. So if nothing's ever truly perfect and God constantly wants to refine us and make us better, what is the bad part of this that's going to refine me and make me better? Because in my experience, refinement can be and has been for me a very painful process. I've been in a season of refinement for about 4.5 years now, pretty much since my son was born. And it's been really difficult. It's been really brutal. And while there's been so much beauty in this season as well, I am now married to a wonderful man. I have 2 other incredible kiddos whom I love very, very much. We have a wonderful home. I even have the chickens that I wanted my entire life. There's so much beauty that came as a result of God's yeses to me in this season, but it is still very dark. It is still very challenging. There are still so many unanswered questions. And so if you are in a similar place where getting a yes from God, receiving something you've been praying for, hearing that door finally creak open that you've been knocking at for so long, you are in a very normal place and you are in good company if that door creaking open leads to more questions and leads to hesitation. We see here in the text from Zechariah that that's not the correct response. So we are, called to fully trust in God. We are called to rejoice in the things that he gives us. He has a plan to prosper us and not to harm us. But that is not a promise of prosperity gospel. God challenged me to go look at Jeremiah 29:11 today, and I ended up reading an article from the Bible Project on Jeremiah 29:11 and how, yes, it promises peace and prosperity and all of these wonderful things, but it is in the context of exile. God is telling the Israelites when they are exiled in Babylon, hey, yeah, I brought you out of Egypt and I gave you the promised land, and now you've been pulled out of the promised land. The land was very much part of their identity, and they once again had been pulled out of their home and sent into exile. They were oppressed. They were overworked. They were in what seemed like this very terrible situation. And there were prophets at that time telling them, don't worry, this is only going to last 2 years. 2 years and you guys are out. You will be good to go. And that was a lie. That was not the truth. And so Jeremiah, when he wrote these letters that then were sent to the people who were exiled living in Babylon, golly, can you tell I'm about to start my period soon? even in the darkest times imaginable, even when our circumstances do not change, there is so much that we can do to experience God's beauty for us, that He has in mind for us, that ultimately leads to His glory and our good. We can still experience that now, even in the midst of exile, even in the midst of the darkest season imaginable, in the midst of whatever you are dealing with. If it is cancer, if it is job loss, both of those are on our plate right now. If it is the loss of a child, if it is the destruction of a marriage, if it is just a season of melancholy and you're not sure why, whatever you are struggling with, God cares so incredibly deeply about it, and He has a plan for your good and for your peace, but that might include putting down roots in this season. And that is something that I am wrestling to come to terms with here. And I am working on preparing my heart so that when that next yes comes, when that next door starts to creak open that I'm knocking at, my response can be joy instead of trepidation. So I invite you to join me in that today. I would love to hear from you in the comments what you are wrestling with right now. I would love to give you some encouragement, whether that's, talking through it in the comments, whether that's responding to you in a video. You can always email me. My email is rachel@rachelgrit.com. I read all of my emails. I respond to all of my emails as long as they are not from AI bots. That's a whole thing that's going on. It's really annoying. I swear I create a new email account and boom, the next day it's filled up with just like AI garbage. But anyways, that is besides the point. I am here as a resource to you. I am here as an encouragement to you. You are welcome here. You are in the right place. You are never behind when you are seeking God. When you are in step with Him, you are always in the right place at the right time. So that is all I have for you today. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. These episodes are available on my podcast, the True Grit Podcast with Rachel Grit. You can find the link to that in my bio. So if you would prefer an audio forward format, that is available to you as well. Make sure you follow, make sure you like, comment, share this video with a friend who needs to hear it. Feel free to go back and watch the other days. The goal is to keep it short and accessible. Again, we're going for low effort, high impact. That is the sweet spot for ADHD brains. But thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.